Could you share a little bit about how networking has been part of your journey in getting you to where you are today?
Oh yeah, networking is everything, especially in my industry. It's a pretty small industry in the sense that you might go to 20 events in a month and you're probably going to see the same people at every event. So, networking, getting familiar with people is really important, but relationships are the number one thing because you might do something for somebody right now, just help them out as a favor, or even just go and get drinks with them, catch up, meet them, get that interaction, lay that initial groundwork. And in 5 years, they might come back to you, or 6 months come back to you with a client, or come back to you with deal flow that is going to open up doors for you in a new market or a new industry or wherever it might be. The way I even got into the really high-end type of art dealing that I'm doing now is a friend of mine knew that I was reselling contemporary artwork on a much smaller scale and introduced me to a contemporary artist based out of the city that he needed help selling his work for a physical retrospective show. A retrospective show is like a look back at a 20-year, 30-year time period of the artist's career. And we were able to team up, do that show together, and we sold out in December of 2021, the entire show within a week of meeting this client. So that just shows how relationships can open the doors for people in the sense of you might be hanging with this person for a completely unrelated reason, and 6 months from now, he brings up that he knows somebody else. I was actually in a meeting for a completely unrelated investment that I was involved in. And I was just explaining to the dude, oh, I'm hosting an NFT NYC event for my consulting company that I had last year. And he was like, oh, that's awesome. And I was explaining I needed help finding some screens, sent me a contact for a guy. The dude ultimately couldn't help me with screens, but he ended up being an artist that I'm working with to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So people will come out of the woodwork in all sorts of mysterious ways.
So how do you go about building these relationships? Like, are you naturally an extrovert, or do you have a curiosity when it comes to approaching people? How do you go about
I'm actually
making
an
friends?
introvert, naturally.
Really?
Yeah, I struggled for a very long time going out, breaking out of my shell and meeting new people. But to a certain point after COVID, I think from, COVID isolation and everything, I just realized, hey, wait a minute. I reread The Art of War during COVID, and I think I'm not going to misquote the law, but one of the laws in The Art of War is they who build fortresses don't succeed, essentially. That's the gist of the law. Don't build fortresses in your own personal life. So, like, always be pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, be breaking out, and essentially, like, meet people. That's what the meaning that I got from that law, from that book was. And that was basically, I'm a big watch collector, so I started going to a couple FP Journe collector dinners that they had, and like Red Bar in the city, New York Watches Horology Society, just certain events that are in the New York City area for watch collectors. And once I got comfortable in that, in terms of networking, I just realized, okay, I have a pretty good natural ability to talk to people, so why not do it? It's kind of fun. And now I love it, actually. But I'll talk to anybody. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do, where you're from. Like, if you're a human being, I'm interested in having a conversation, because ultimately you can like learn from anybody. And that's kind of my favorite thing is like, you might go into a meeting or interaction with somebody and think, how is this person going to help me? And by the end of it, you realize 10 different ways that they can help you, or 10 different ways that you guys can help each other. I've really struggled with social media. It's not something I ever wanted to. I'm a very private person normally. Like, this is the first interview I'm ever really doing in my whole life. And it's because I've never wanted to share things on social media. I did a YouTube channel once, very, very briefly, like almost 10 years ago in middle school, but that was 30 views a video, nothing out there. I haven't posted on a personal Instagram account other than to promote a business related event or something in 4 years. So I'm very private in that regard. And breaking out of that comfort shell and being like, I have to grow somewhat of a personal brand and reputation to just even like be a player in the space these days makes sense, And also to another large degree, it's like instant validation for somebody to then like go and see your social media accounts or populate it with content versus, you have followers, but there's no pictures. It's a blank profile. So that's something I got to really work on and hone in on as I keep going. And ultimately too, like, I run my art Instagram accounts very well, but those are not personal.
Mhm.
So figuring out ways to engage personally with people on Instagram is something that I'm trying to work on, actually.
Mhm.
I just got verified yesterday,
Mhm.
but that was through like their new program that they have, the Meta check.
Paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I paid for a client to get it done,
Okay.
and it was thousands of dollars. And Meta was only charging like $11, and I was like, okay, sure, that's a bargain. Because I remember the process we had to go through 2 years ago when we did this for a client was we had to get like Forbes articles written about them, all these types of articles. That was $5,000 in terms of just the
Yeah.
articles, and then paying the person who actually bribed, I guess, whoever worked for Meta on their verification service team was like pretty difficult, and it cost an additional, that was like $1,100. So all in, we were 6,800 into this. And sure, it paid off. They were verified. They gained 25,000 followers within 6 months after that because it just boosted their algorithm presence.
Mhm.
But for a personal account, like, it made no sense because at the same time it was offered for me too on my personal account. And again, I haven't posted in 4 years on the thing, so it didn't make sense. But looking into it now that like I'm starting an Instagram account for Berg Kaplan Gallery, which is my art gallery that I'm started over the last 6 months, that needs an Instagram presence. So now that I built a little Instagram up for that, it's probably makes sense to link it to my personal account and be like some type of cross platform between people in this business that follow me here and people who may want to follow me for another business that I'm involved in.